About a year ago, I was speaking to a group of high school kids about my career journey as a lawyer and entrepreneur. And at the end of the discussion, I opened it up for some Q&A. And one young man asked me a very simple question. Now, up to that point, I had spoken a lot about the importance of education, having work ethic, and finding your passion and purpose. But his question was simply this. Out of everything you talked about today, what's the one thing that matters most in business? Now, without hesitation, I said kindness. And those next few seconds told me everything I needed to know. Those kids looked perplexed. Like it was the first time anyone has ever said to them, kindness gets you far in life. See, I've always understood the importance and power of kindness, what I like to call the unbillable hour. Throughout my entire career, I've always been willing to give my time to help with no expectation of anything in return. Now, to a lot of lawyers out there, this may be counterintuitive because we're taught to be adversarial and that our time is money. But I was never one to follow the norms, and I've just always chosen to be kind. So as you can imagine, that day just didn't sit right with me. And I remember coming home with this uneasy feeling. And as I reflected on the day, I realized there was a problem. The generation coming up had no idea the power of kindness. And for a moment, I started feeling this sense of responsibility for my generation having failed them. And as a father of three, that was a scary thought. How could this be? And I began to wonder, was it just a problem with the youth of today? Or was it much bigger? Now let's fast forward the story to a few months ago. A fellow lawyer and good friend of mine asked if I'd help facilitate a workshop for women leaders in the law. And me being kind, I obviously obliged. And at the end of the workshop, I had a chance to speak to the women. And the topic of kindness came up. And as we chatted and I told them my thoughts on its power and how I practice law with kindness, they, like the kids months before, looked perplexed. But here's the bigger issue. Despite agreeing with me that kindness matters, quite a few of them said they were rated poorly on their performance reviews for being too nice. Therein lied the problem. So I asked some of my male friends and colleagues if they've ever experienced the same thing, and quite a few of them actually had. So the question I had became, how do we go from children, being told to be nice to others, share our things, and help out when we can, to becoming adults who, especially in the business world, equate kindness to weakness? I believe we're all born inherently good. And society teaches us, not through what we hear, but through what we see, that kindness is weakness. Now, I've built my entire career on the premise of kindness. Every success and amazing opportunity I've had, I could probably trace to a single unbillable hour I've given someone. I was fortunate enough to hear and see the power of kindness throughout my entire life. My grandmother was my biggest inspiration, and she was the strongest yet kindest person I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. Now, she passed away a little over a year ago, but I can tell you this. Her kindness was never mistaken for weakness. Some of the greatest leaders of our time, people such as Martin Luther King, Gandhi, and Mother Teresa, were also three of the most kind and compassionate people history has ever given us. So where did we, my generation, go wrong? As a kid, I remember my family never worrying about locking the cars in the driveway or the windows at night. They had this fundamental belief that society was full of good, kind people. Now, we, which includes myself, lock our cars while they're parked in our garages because we're worried about the types of people out there. Society's fundamental belief has shifted, and kindness has become a lost art. Now, it's declined just the same in the business world. Again, as a child, I remember going to my grandmother's place of employment and the people stopping to talk to me. They were happy, helpful, and willing to show this curious kid around. Now, we have to dedicate a day to bring our kids to work because doing so at any other time may cause anger, angst, and anxiety in the workplace. Now more than ever, managers and executives shy away from showing compassion and kindness for the fear of appearing weak. But here's the interesting thing. Research shows the opposite is true. When people exhibit those characteristics, kindness and compassion, they're actually perceived to be great leaders. Some managers still believe that negative feedback is the way to motivate employees and get things done. But again, the opposite is true. It's been shown that high-performing teams receive 6 times the amount of positive feedback than lower-performing ones, which is evidence that kindness increases the bottom line. The narrative has to change. And in the business world, and in my profession in particular, the law, we have to understand the true power of kindness and use the unbillable hour to our advantage. Now, over the years, there have been countless studies and surveys conducted on kindness in the workplace. Now, it's been shown that kindness in the workplace leads to happier employees, better customer service, increased creativity and productivity, and a bigger bottom line. It's been shown that kind and compassionate leaders garner high levels of trust from their employees because they make them feel safe. And as humans, we all have this inherent need to feel safe, and that doesn't go away in the workplace. And when a leader is fair and kind, and their employees trust them, the needle of a business moves in a positive direction through increased creativity and innovation because the fear of consequences has been eliminated. When employees are free to create and innovate, radical change can occur within an organization. Now, as individuals, we can use kindness to increase our own creativity. In research conducted by Sean Aker, who gave an amazing TED Talk on happiness, it was found that engaging in random acts of kindness for 2 minutes a day for 21 days can actually rewire our brains to be more positive. And when our brains are operating from a positive state as opposed to negative, neutral, or stressed, our intelligence increases, our creativity increases, and we become more productive. All of these things can transform a business by transforming the people within. Now, on top of that, just witnessing acts of kindness has been shown to have a profound effect. Jonathan Haidt from New York University researched this exact thing. He found that when people witness others' compassionate acts, they experience this sense of, or this heightened sense of well-being that he called elevation, and in turn, they acted more compassionately themselves, just by watching someone be kind. Now, when he applied this research to the workplace, he found the same thing. When leaders were compassionate and kind, their employees experienced this elevation. And in turn, those employees became more loyal and committed, and they were willing to help out others for no particular reason. No expectation of anything in return. This is how we can change the culture of a company. Kindness is contagious. It can create an effect that can multiply in strength and power very quickly. Now, as people, we have this tendency to conform, be it good or bad. But we can use this tendency to create positive change. In research conducted out of Stanford University, looking at positive conformity, they found that people not only imitate others' positive acts, but also the spirit underlying them. In one study in particular, they asked people to watch others donating, either in a generous or stingy way. Afterwards, they were asked to engage in this completely unrelated task. They were given a letter written by someone that described the ups and downs of their prior month, and they were asked to write a note back. And what the study found was that the people that witnessed others donating in a generous way wrote kinder, friendlier, and more empathetic notes back. Those people caught the kindness they witnessed, and in turn showed kinder behaviors. Now, there was another study conducted in 2017 that looked at random acts of kindness in the workplace. Now, this study took about 100 employees, and they broke them up into 3 groups. There were givers, receivers, and a control group. The givers were asked to perform 5 acts of kindness to particular employees labeled receivers. Now, no one knew what this study was about. However, the receivers in the control group were simply asked to discreetly keep track of when they watched others being kind. Now, what was so interesting about this study was that not only did the givers and receivers report a heightened sense of well-being and being happier 2 months after the study was concluded, but those kind acts had a positive ripple effect. The receivers paid them forward, not just to the givers, but to people at large. In fact, the study showed that they handed out almost 300% more acts of kindness. That's a powerful effect of kindness. It can change culture. No matter how many people are within an organization, the only number that matters is one. You. You have that power. You can infect an organization with kindness and begin to transform its culture. It can create positive change. Now, I've tried to live my entire life leading with kindness. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. No one is. That doesn't change the fact that it matters. In life and in business. And to me as a father, it matters even more. From the news sensationalizing everything that's wrong in this world, to, like I said before, my friends and colleagues being told they're doing a poor job because they're being too nice, things have to change. I have the duty and privilege of raising 3 amazing kids. And in this world full of hate, anger, and negativity, it's my job to show them the other side, to show them the true power of kindness. You have that power too. Your single act of kindness can change someone's life, can change the course of a business. This is why the unbillable hour can move the needle farther than any billable hour can. So I challenge all of you, no matter your profession or station in life, use the unbillable hour to begin to shift society's fundamental belief back to where it once was, Let us all be the engines of change to create a world in which people are not only encouraged to be the smartest in the room, but also the kindest. Thank you.